Welcome back to the channel, and I know that I missed last week's video, and that is because of personal things that happened that prevented me from getting some paint, basically. And that changed my plans, and I wasn't even sure if I was going to make a helmet, but here we are. Pre Vizsla was a Mandalorian that was introduced to us in Season 2, Episode 12 of the Clone Wars. We found out just what kind of man he was by the manner of which he shot one of his own for failure. We also found out that he was a prevalent warrior. Not to mention, he was willing to go up against a Jedi, something that most ordinary citizens would not even dare comprehend. In later seasons of the Clone Wars, we saw what kind of warrior Pre Vizsla was, going head-to-head against Darth Maul and wielding the Darksaber. We also found out that these kind of Mandalorians knew how to fight a Sith as well as a Jedi at the same time. Although he lost to Darth Maul, he did not go down without a fight, which is something that everyone can respect, especially since he accepted his fate in the end. Let's get into this video. As with most of my helmets, I'm starting this project with a simple layer of silver paint. And this helmet's actually not going to be revealing it, but I always like to do it anyway. So I've covered up the helmet's gray areas and given it a different coat of gray. This one is a machine gray, and after I covered it up, I'm going to be using a different type of blue for this helmet. And it's actually sort of the wrong blue. However, I see that this blue can be used for other helmets in future projects. Right here, I give a quick coat of blue, and the reason I'm saying that it might be the wrong blue is because of how different it is. This looks like a color I would use for a 501st helmet if I ever go to it. Now, Pre Vizsla's helmet has an interesting thing about it. I'm not sure if this is a dark gray or black, but I'm going to be using matte black for this project. And as usual, my black is giving me some problems, but it works out pretty well if you coat it over multiple layers. And after I'm done with this, it's actually pretty good. I do need to get a new can of white and black, but other than that, I think I can manage. After we're done with the black, we need to move on to the most important part of this helmet, and that is the Death Watch insignia that goes onto Pre Vizsla's helmet. And I kind of brushed it a bit. I'm not a liar, so I'll tell you guys that I may have ripped off some of the yellow that was supposed to stay on, but for most of this project I made a couple of mistakes, such as there's some silver on the blue, so I'm going to be weathering this helmet instead of keeping it shiny. That is my excuse for this, but I'm just telling you guys how I do things. After removing all of the tape, the helmet looks pretty good, but now I have to move on to the next part of this helmet, and that is adding a visor. And in the past, I've made visors that are pretty decent, so this time I decided to measure rather than guess and hold it against the slit of the helmet. Now, with all my helmets, I hot glue them into place, and this time I'm being very careful and showing you guys how I do it. And during this project, I didn't turn it off later after this, and I kind of burned my foot, so remember to turn off your hot glue gun after you're done. It's just some advice that I really would recommend. Alright, so after we're done with Pre Vizsla's helmet, he does not have a rangefinder, so I have to substitute the rangefinder for something else. I'm just going to be using the part that holds the rangefinder, prime it, and fill it in with Bondo. And it looks like this. It's rounded, and it has... I'm not really sure what to call this. I'm just going to use it as a substitute for what should be there. This is what I have to do when I don't have the proper things, or if I don't do something that is intended for this. I give it a coat of silver, paint a machine gray. From there I just attach the piece to the helmet, and I like how this turned out. I definitely want to improve on this later on, but for now this is how it will look. Alright, so with a lot of small sanding that I've done to the helmet, I managed to make it look a little weathered, damaged, and exactly what I want to do for Pre Vizsla. So, I will see what I look like now, with the helmet on. Alright, so, with all that being said, I do have limitations on what I can or cannot do when it comes to making helmets. This is one of them. I did what I could with the things available, and there are certainly a lot of things I could try out, such as cutting the bottom half of this helmet and just mirroring it in Mesh Mixer. That's definitely something I can do, but that's a 3D printing helmet, and it would take time to do. But what's to say I'm not doing it? Although thinking about it now, that actually might be a little more complicated now that I think about it. But I gave it my best shot, and this is the result. So I could definitely apply this in different art styles, such as just making it a plain Mandalorian helmet. Doesn't have to be Pre Vizsla or anything specific. It's definitely something I'm going to experiment on. With all that being said, I still thank you guys for any support you've done for the channel. We are at 310 subscribers at the time I'm recording this, and honestly, we've grown a lot since February. That's a lot. I appreciate it. I hope I could do more helmets as soon as possible, even with some limitations I have right now. It's nothing to worry about, but it might slow down my video making time. And with all that being said, I thank you guys for any support you've done to the channel. It's always appreciated, and it's definitely something that's keeping me going. So have a good one no matter where you are.